Beth, good morning. Thanks so much for taking the time. I'm such a fan. You're such a pro. But I have so many questions for you. I was talking with Lisa Byington, who was the first female to do a March Madness game. And as many games as she's called, as much as a pro as she was, she said there's a responsibility with being the first. Do you get that kind of nervous excitement coming up for you?
Absolutely, Lauren, and I think it goes back to, my playing days as an athlete and that sort of adrenaline, that sort of anticipation that you get to play in a big game. And I've always wanted to do this, so I knew that the show, if you will, for me wasn't on the field. It was going to be in the press box, and there are a few, if any, press boxes that have the kind of history that the Chicago Cubs do. So it's an honor and a pleasure to be a part of these games, and you do know and appreciate the fact that there are a lot of female fans out there. I think for MLB, we're getting close to about 50%, and certainly a lot of young girls out there that are Cubs fans and are baseball fans, and you certainly want to have a positive impact on them.
Beth, you're going to get a chance to call games on Saturday and Sunday, day game at Wrigley Field. Yeah. Fans will be in the stands, and there was an uncertainty at the beginning of 2021. What do you expect the atmosphere to be like, not only in the ballpark, but there in your booth as you get a chance to kind of soak in this atmosphere?
Oh, I think it's going to be electric. And, that's the big difference from the spring training game that we did while the team was in Arizona and we were at Wrigley. Now you've got fans in the stands. You've got old style pouring out of the taps. You've got the guys actually on the diamond in front of you. So I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. I was watching the show earlier. I'm not quite sure. Where do we stand on the liniment oil? Do I need to?
That's up to you, Beth. Beth, that is up to you.
You do you.
So good.
I want to ask you, like Lauren's saying, you've been such a pro. You've done the NFL. You've called the women's softball, the College World Series for north of 20 years. This will be different, though, as the first. Do you sit back in your quiet moments? Are you coming up with calls in case Kris Bryant goes deep? Are you coming up with things that you're dying to get out there, or are you going to stay true to just let it happen in the moment?
I think it has to be organic, Mark, and so I don't really try and get too far ahead of things and sort of feel the moment and make the call that way. Certainly, you know that it's an exciting time, and there are a lot of people hanging on your words, and you want to make sure that you get the moments right, and you keep the focus on the guys in the game and what they're doing, and so that's kind of how I approach it and how I lean towards calling a game like this.
What about the guys in the game, Beth? Calling a series or a game in the beginning of May big seems silly to us, right? Over the course of 162. But that series against the Dodgers seemed like, from their reaction afterwards, like an early litmus test. Did you feel that?
Absolutely, and you can sense the buzz here in Chicago because, you talk about a 162-game schedule, but, you guys have already been talking about it on the program today, guys that could be moving by the trade deadline, and there are a handful of those that the Cubs are considering, and those guys have come out and played really well, especially Kris Bryant, obviously, to start out the season. And so to build off of what they did against the Dodgers, you've proved that you could beat the top of their rotation. Now you have to go out this weekend and back it up by beating those teams that you think are going to be below you in the NL Central and the teams that you have to stack up the wins against. So I think it's big to see the bats come alive in May. And now I think the anticipation for Cubs fans is to see that starting rotation come alive in May. They got a good start out of Hendricks this week. He'll get the ball on Sunday. Today's a big day for Zach Davies. It hasn't been the start that he's hoped for. So I think for him today, Trevor Williams can get above 500 with a nice outing tomorrow. Will be sort of building blocks for the rest of the month.
Beth, you mentioned Kris Bryant. What was the talk, or what were you hearing about the expectations for Bryant coming into the season with all those things that you mentioned, the trade deadline, free agency at the end of the season, and then now that he is rounding into an MVP-type caliber season?
I think for a lot of fans that follow the Cubs on a daily basis, the health of Chris Bryant was the big thing. And he wasn't healthy last year. He wasn't himself. And now we've seen what a healthy Chris Bryant can do. And I think even more intriguing is the versatility that he brings. I mean, he's played third base, first base. He's played every position in the outfield for the Cubs. And it allows them to get their best bats in the lineup. And to be able to do all that, to have an MVP start to the season for Chris, and also display that kind of versatility, I think even makes him more appreciated, if that's possible, in Chicago.
Beth, my co-host, Robert Flores, is an aspiring play-by-play announcer. That means that she doesn't think you're going to make it.
Why am I
Why
getting
is she putting us on blast all day?
Exactly. Why you got to put my business out on these streets?
Any tips? Biggest tip?
You know, I'm a word snob, a doctor of letters, specializing in LMNOP. And I love my thesaurus.com on my phone, just finding new ways to say blast or rips or fires one, all kinds of good fun baseball terms. Unique ways to, call a game is always important, I think, Robert. That's always a good place to start.
Okay. I'm going thesaurus.com, and I'll look for different ways to say, I'm awesome. I'm doing great.
Beth, you might be a little nervous tomorrow, so I don't know if you're going to get a full breakfast in you, but I'd be remiss if I didn't know what you had for breakfast this morning.
I am a native Northeasterner, so whenever I get a chance to get some Dunkin' Donuts, a little French vanilla. Now that I'm a little older, I go with the sugar-free, and their sausage sandwich is fabulous.
It is
I did not have the factory outlet polo Gordon Gekko robe on when I walked down to the DD, but I'm
locked
looking for
into
one
our
of those.
show.
Beth, no chocolate frosted?
No.
I go
little
chocolate
Little
frosted.
Matt Duffy, by the way, for your stock picks perhaps next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say he's gonna have to do it for a little bit longer, but I'm on to him.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Beth.
Maybe I'll celebrate with the chocolate frosted Sunday
Yes,
morning.
that's a great way to celebrate.
For Mother's Day. There you go.
Changing the game.
Beth, congratulations on all your accomplishments. Good luck to you this weekend. We can't wait to see and hear you on Marquee Sports Network this
fans.
weekend against the Pittsburgh
you.
Pirates.